Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Penn Vicarage on this Monday morning. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us for our Bible reflection for today as we continue our book through the amazing book of Psalms. And we're approaching towards the end now. It's marathon, but aren't they wonderful things? I just love the Psalms. I love their honesty. I love their poetry. I love their beauty. I just love the Psalms. And today's Psalm is 144. To kind of put it in the context of the whole book, you might say, there are 150 Psalms in the Psalter. And we're split up into 5 books. We're coming towards the end of the fifth book. And like many hymns, you might finish with a blast at the end. The book of Psalms, the Psalms 145 to the end, are very much songs of praise. And this is the last of the normal ones before you get there. So Psalm 144, it's a psalm by David. I'm going to read it to you now. If you start hearing thinking, I've heard bits of that before somewhere, good, that's what you're supposed to think. Put a knot in your hanky. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. So Psalm 144, Psalm of David, here goes. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who teaches my hands for war and my fingers for battle. My rock and my fortress, my stronghold and my deliverer, my shield in whom I take refuge, who subdues the peoples under me. O Lord, what are human beings that you regard them, or mortals that you think of them? They are like a breath, their days are like a passing shadow. Bow your heavens, O Lord, and come down. Touch the mountains so that they smoke. Make the lightning flash and scatter them. Send out your arrows and rout them. Stretch out your hand from on high. Set me free and rescue me from the mighty waters, from the hand of aliens, whose mouths speak lies and whose right hands are false. I will sing a new song to you, O God. Upon the 10-stringed harp will I play to you. The one who gives victory to kings, who rescues his servant David. Rescue me from the cruel sword and deliver me from the hand of aliens, whose mouths speak lies and whose right hands are false. Be like plants full grown, our daughters, big about. May our sons in their youth be like plants full grown, our daughters like corner pillars, cut for the building of a palace. May our barns be filled with produce of every kind. May our sheep increase by thousands, by tens of thousands in our fields, and may our cattle be heavy with young. May there be no breach in the walls, no exile, and no cry of distress in our streets. Happy are the people to whom such blessings fall. Happy are the people whose God is the Lord. And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Okay. For those of you, the sharp-eared amongst you, those of you thinking, oh, I've read that before somewhere, you may have done if you followed our Psalms for the last few days. Verses 1 and 2 are very, very similar to Psalm 18. This thing about the Lord trains my hands for war, my fingers for battle, and so on. And if you want a bit of later study, if you like, later in the day, make a comparison between Psalm 144 and Psalm 18. Just compare the two, and they're very similar. Verse 3, of course, is very much like Psalm 8. O Lord, what are human beings that you regard them, or mortals that you think of them? It's very much like Psalm 8, but more about that in a moment. There are several other bits in here which are similar to other Psalms as well, which has led some people to think that what the authorship of this Psalm really is some later person has taken bits of David's Psalms, stuck them together and made this. That's speculation, we don't know that, but lots of scholars do think that. And lots of scholars don't as well. But either way, they're words of David and they're beautiful words. That's Psalm 144. I say it's a beautiful psalm, but some suggest that bits of it have been borrowed, if you like, put together to make a psalm for later use. But that's speculation. Psalm 144 essentially is in 4 sections. There is verses 1 to 4. There is 5 to 8, 9 to 11, and 12 to the end. That's the 4 sections. And if you like to take these books of the Bible, if you like, in bite-sized chunks, let's take them one at a time. Verses 1 to 4 is about blessed be the Lord my rock and so on. And in verses 1 to 4, what you've got here is, firstly, a huge comparison between, that David makes, between, or contrast, you might say, between the help from human beings and the help from God. And basically what he's saying is, human beings are like a breath, days like a passing shadow, but actually God is the great one. God is my shield and so on, my refuge, and who subdues the peoples under me and so on. So he's making a huge comparison here between, what he's saying is, I am putting my trust in God because God can really help me. compared to God, human beings are just passing shadows. Okay, so see firstly here that the comparison or the contrast David makes between the help he gets from God and the help he gets from human beings. And the second thing also to say, for David really here, the help he gets from God is very we might call up close and personal. I mean, he talks about my rock, he trains my hands for war, my fingers for battle, my rock, my fortress, my stronghold, my deliverer, my shield, and in whom I take refuge. It's very, very up close and personal here. So trying to understand from these first two verses, firstly, that for David, a huge contrast between God, who can really help him, compared to human beings who just, there's nothing in comparison, if you see what I mean. And so the huge help he gets from God, and God is much more helpful. He puts his trust in God rather than humanity. But also see how up close and personal it is for David. David's very much nailing his colours to the mast here and saying, God is my help personally, my shield, my fortress, and so on and so on and so on. Then verses 5 to 8, he starts off with a kind of, you might call a generic cry that God will do, like a Muttley do something, Bow your heavens, O Lord, and come down. Touch the mountains, they may smoke. It's very much kind of generic. Come on, Lord, come and help everybody. It's like, come and shower us with blessing. But then in verses 7 and 8, again, it becomes up close and personal again. Stretch out your hand from on high, set me free and rescue me from the hands of waters, So on one level, he wants God to bless the world, but actually he's saying, please all come and help me, Having established in verses 1 to 4 that God is up close and personal help, now he's saying, please God, will you come and help me? So help everyone, but please all come and rescue me. Come and help me now, Be the shield which I've just said you are, if you might say. Then verses 9 to 11, what you've then got is a statement that he's going to put, I will sing a new song to you, O Lord. Upon a 10-stringed harp I will praise you. Rescue me from the cruel sword and deliver me. And it's quite hard to see here whether he's saying, he's almost saying, oh, come on, if you help me, God, I'll do this for you, kind of. There's possibly some sort of bargaining going on here, or whether it could just be a statement, that's what I will do. So he acknowledges the fact that, God, when God rescues him, he will praise God as a result. He will make sure that God gets the credit. But as I say, there's a possibility here that he's almost doing a bit of bargaining with God. God, if you help me, I'll praise you. Come and help me, and I'll live the rest of my life for you, kind of thing. And in a sense, though, I mean, it sounds a bit odd, but I think in some ways our prayer life is a negotiation, isn't it? Actually, we have a God with whom we can have a personal relationship. And I think often, we can discuss with God, we can debate with God. It's not simply a question of, this is what happens and we have to kind of get used to it. I mean, it is like that sometimes, but we also, because we can have a personal relationship with God, we can, so to speak, fight things out with God in our prayers. And I think there's a degree of here with David, help me out and I'll sing to you on the 10-stringed harp. And I know he's a good singer, so it's worth doing. Okay. And then in verse at the end here, he's asking then for God to bless. And he's saying when God blesses, great things happen. And he's praying, may our sons in their youths be like plants in full growth. May our barns be harvest. So he's asking for God to bless us. But not just to bless us, but also to protect us. So God can protect us also. So that there may be no breach in the walls, no exile. May there be no cry of distress in our streets. So may God not only bless us by showering blessing upon us, but may God also protect us as well. And then finally at the end, you have a benediction, verse 15. Happy are the people to whom this blessings fall. And what is quite interesting development is that there are two different words for blessing. There's the word blessed in verse 1, and there's a word blessing in verse 15 as well, and they're slightly different. In verse 1, the blessing is about praise and well-being. Verse 15, it's about peace and prosperity. So there's two different kinds of blessing here. So David is praying that actually maybe that you are blessed. Because God's my shield, I have praise and I have well-being. But when God really blesses us, that's when we have peace and prosperity too. So you have 4 sections in this, another fantastic and amazing psalm. First, you have David acknowledging that his help is in God rather than human beings. And his help is very up close and personal. It's my rock, my fortress, my shield, and so on. Then in verses 5 to 8, he's praying God will bless everyone. But then he says in particular up close and personal again, God, will you please come and help me? In verses 9 to 11, you have this negotiation with God. God, help me, and I will sing to you, and I will praise you. And at the end is a prayer of blessing upon the land, upon everyone, not just the king's house. May there be blessing, but also may there be protection on us as well. And that way we'll be blessed with praise and well-being, but also peace and prosperity too. Bless you, my friends. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your Monday. Thank you so much for joining us as always. Have a lovely day.